Let me be completely honest with you. There's no magical way to get clients for your business 100% of the time, but there are lazy ways to get new clients. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through one of the systems that I've used to scale 2 businesses to multiple 7 figures and consistently be able to enroll 30 new high ticket clients every single month. And this system I can use without barely lifting a finger, because the reality is that most ways of getting new clients that you hear about are the polar opposite of lazy. Let's look into a couple of them. So first things first is cold DMing. So cold DMing was all the rage back in the day, and it was something that I tried. So what did I do? I got a bunch of Instagram accounts, warmed them up, and started ripping DMs. I had this master tracker, and unfortunately for me, I had to hire a ton of different people to manage all of the DMs, to send all of the DMs, to follow up all of the DMs, to keep the tracker up to date. At the end of the day, it was a lot of labor. It was not lazy by any means, and it wasn't a successful thing for me to continue to do. So we stopped doing it because a lot of the times we just landed in the request folder, and that is pretty much a game of volume, which is not lazy because we have to manually send it every single time. All right, paid ads. I use paid ads. I'm a big fan of paid ads, but it is not one of the laziest ways to do it. A lot of people go into paid ads thinking, oh, if I can just press this button, I'm all of a sudden getting a lot of new clients. But what they don't realize is that there's more skill sets needed in order for it to actually make sense. I mean, from paid ads, you could run it to like a VSL and they have watched a free training and then they submit a form. You have to set up all these complex funnels. That's just simply not lazy. And you also need to have the skill sets of, copywriting, having a really good offer, and you are risking quite a bit of money up front to see if this actually works. Okay. Content. So we grew a lot by content. We post a lot of content. That is one of our favorite ways to build trust with people and to get clients. But the problem with content is that it takes time and you also need skill sets. And it's about the volume of posts in most cases, which deems this to not be a lazy way of getting clients. Cold calling, another method that I tried. And, we had all of these dialing in place, myself included. I was dialing and I would just spend hours on the phone. And if you are living in today's era, a lot of people don't answer their phone. And when they do answer the phone and you're a salesperson, they don't want to hear from you. So it was a lot of hours on the call. It was a lot of volume, and it was a lack of getting answers and getting appointments. So cold calling could still work, but I deem this as not a lazy method of getting clients. Referrals, probably the laziest way to get new clients because people just will hand over clients to you. You should have a referral system in place. You should be able to get new referrals, but it's what happens before you get the referral that does take the work. Networking, building relationships, jumping on calls, meeting with people and learning about them and having them learn about you. And it takes a long time to do it. And you also have to have an established business in order for this to actually work. So it does take time to build. I would not deem this as a lazy way to get new clients. Okay, SEO, creating content on your website, writing blogs, really valuable to show up because that's going to build a lot of trust with people. But the problem with it is it takes time and you need a skill set to do it. If you asked me to go optimize my website, I would be drilled to a computer for the next few hours, updating things that takes a long time to update. So with that being said, I would not deem SEO lazy. It takes time. It's a long game. And from a technical perspective, it does take some skill sets and you need to know what's working. And there's a lot of stuff always changing in the game. So this is not a lazy method of getting clients. So Austin, what is a lazy way of getting clients? There's one method on here that we have not talked about, and that method is cold email. There's a lot of good things about cold email that I really like that really positions this as the laziest way to get clients, especially in today's day and age. I mean, it's all tech-based. It's all faceless. You don't need to have all of these complex funnels set up. And in today's day and age, you can use AI to do a lot of the things for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the lazy way of getting clients using cold email and how you can set this up yourself with me on this video so that you can get more clients without expending all of your effort and really just doing it the lazy way at the end of the day. So let's talk about the steps of cold email. First things first is the email infrastructure. So a lot of people, when they start with cold email, what they'll do, myself included, is they'll get this list of leads and then they will go on their email and they will do a mail merge. They'll blast all of the emails. And what happens is the email that they're sending it from gets trashed because their email service provider deems them as spam because they're sending the same message over and over and over again. So what we want to do is we want to get one new domain. And with that new domain that's contextual to your business, we want to set up 3 to 5 emails per domain. Today, it is easier than ever to set up your infrastructure very quickly. So with a tool that I like to use called Instantly, we have a done for you email and a done for you setup. So if I just log into Instantly, which is all in one cold email platform, if I want to set up my email accounts, I can click on simply add new. and it'll give us 3 options. If you have existing accounts, you could certainly set them up that way. They have a done for you setup and a pre-warmed account. Let's go through the last 2. So done for you email setup. So basically what they will do is, let's just say my business name is Agency U. What we can do is we can type in our business name, and what it will do is it'll give us some contextual domains for that specific domain that we can then purchase directly inside of this platform. So we don't need to use GoDaddy. We don't need to use a bunch of different tools to actually set this up. Then what we can do is we can click on next, and then what will automatically happen is it'll create 5 emails per each domain that we purchase. We can actually set up our own forwarding domain so that once we purchase these, then the emails or the domains that we purchased, then it'll automatically redirect to the forwarding domain that we set up right here. Then the cost is a little bit cheaper than doing this manually or doing this yourself, and you can just simply place the order there. Then once you place the order, what you will then notice is all of your accounts being shown in the email accounts section inside of Instantly. And what it will begin to do is it'll begin to warm up the emails, meaning it'll start to send emails on your behalf so that it's building trust with the email that you've started to use. And then what it'll do is it'll start sending emails, which we can see, and it'll give you a warm-up score. So I can see that this one is a 100% warm-up score. We've sent 70 warm-up emails. This is good to go. This is ready to use. So it's about a 2-week process to warm up, but it is paramount to do if we actually want to land on the inbox. And again, I'm not lifting a finger. What was told in the past by a lot of gurus was, subscribe to emails, like send emails back and forth. It's like, no, you don't have to do that anymore because this does it for you. Let's go to the pre-warmed accounts, which I think are pretty cool. So what we can actually do with this is we can actually open it, and then it'll have pre-warmed domains that will skip the 2-week process of warming up. So pre-warmed accounts could be a great option for you because they're already warmed up, and all you need to do is just buy them, and then you can start sending emails as soon as today. So no brainer, and that's literally 0 effort, just a few clicks. Now let's talk about getting a list of leads. Today's day and age, we can have access to a database of over 450 million contacts that are super, super easy to filter. So Instantly, again, has what's called a super search feature, which has a database of over 450 million contacts that we can then leverage to then reach out to. So we can search by things like job title, location, industry and keyword. There's tons of industries. We can even search by the keyword of the industry. So if you wanted like HVAC roofing or something more specific, then you can pull all those people. So what I did is I just found a really small list of 100 people who are CMOs, CEOs, presidents, founders, owners of what I'm deeming to be in the e-commerce space, selling something online. So I did the job titles. I did it by location. I did it by industries, revenue level, and then technologies. And that pulled up a list that's pretty much ready to go. So what you guys can do is you can use your own filters and you can create your own lists from the database of over 450 million contacts. And the cool thing about this is when you go to actually get the emails of these contacts, when you click on find emails, you're not going to just get a bunch of junk emails. You're going to get the emails that are guaranteed to be the right email for the contact that you're getting. Next thing is data enrichment. So data enrichment basically means finding information that we can then use to leverage, filter, all that sort of stuff to write really good emails to these people. Inside of Instantly, they actually have what's called a one-click enrichment. So if I go to this list of leads, if I click on find emails, I can go and click on continue and I can find how many contacts I want to enrich. In this case, we're just going to do 25. As you can see, once I click that button, we will go through the process of enriching those leads. And when we say enriching the leads, what it's doing is it's finding the emails so we can make sure that it's verified. If you see the checkbox next to it, we know that this is in fact a legit email. And if they don't have it, then they won't give it to us and we won't pay for it. And then in addition, we have a fully enriched profile. So this means I have their contact headline, their contact summary, the job level, information from their LinkedIn. That's really going to be important for me, that if I'm going to write really good emails that are actually relevant, how many connections they have on LinkedIn, things that are going to be relevant to me to actually write a good email and land in the inbox and actually get a response and ultimately book a call. In addition, if I click on add column, I can also see add enrichment. And there's other things that I can then enrich. I can enrich the job listing. So if I'm, wanting to compliment them on the growth because they have job listings, cool. I can click on that button and then that will then tell me what jobs that they have open. If I click on add column again, add an enrichment, I can go to technologies. I can scrape what technologies this specific company is using in their business. If I click add a column, I can click add enrichment. I can find company news. I can find funding type, and all this will pull into a column that's easy for me to see and easy for me to get intel on that specific prospect. So when I reach out to them, I have context and I know about them and I know what they're working with, so that when I send the email, I can make sure that the email is in fact relevant. So next up is going to be copy and personalized lines. So copywriting stops a lot of people. Personalized lines stops a lot of people. I mean, when ChatGPT came out, I would have like this spreadsheet and I would use like these tools and these plugins and write all these personalized lines. Before ChatGPT, I would write personalized lines line by line, or the personalized line that I would actually write are not actually good. And it was just not an efficient way to actually write personalized lines and write actual copy that gets responses. Because at the end of the day, when we're using cold email, what do we want? We want to get responses. We want to get deals. We want to get people to raise their hand. We want to get people excited. We want to get people to actually want to do business with us. And that comes down to our copy. That comes down to our creative. But Austin, I'm not a copywriter. How do I do this? How do I make sure this is actually good? Well, we have options for you that are in fact extremely lazy. Let's look at them. First things first, we have AI copy and personalization. So if I just go to instantly again, what I can do is I can create a campaign and click add new. Just call it my campaign. And what we can actually do is we can go to our sequences and we have AI tools, and I can actually use AI to generate a sequence. So I could type in my company name, click on continue. I could talk about my offer. I could talk about my target audience, and then I could give some case studies. And what it will do is it will automatically write a 3-step sequence that I can then use. Let's just go ahead and test this out. So let's just say I'm agency U. I help e-commerce companies' websites load faster. E-commerce companies. Click on continue. I could select how many steps that I want. Click on generate, and I can view them here on the left-hand side, make any adjustments as needed. But this will automatically write AI copy that principally is ready to rock and something that you could literally use. Let me show you another way to do this. So if I go to my enriched data, so if I go back to super search, if I go back to lead lists, I can pull the list of leads that I just pulled. And what we'll be able to see is another column where I can click add column, and we'll see this button called use AI. So before, we would have to write personalized lines manually. We would have to like connect all these different tools and plugins and automation. Now what we can do, we can create a prompt and write a prompt that will speak to the person in the lead list that we just enriched, and we can pull information from the lead list that we have enriched data on, and we can write really banger personalized lines and even personal emails. So let me show you exactly how to do this. Let's just start with personalized lines. So I created a couple of prompts that you guys can really just like rip off. But this one, for example, you're acting as a cold email assistant for my outreach. So this is like what I deem to be potential e-commerce companies. Cool. And then we can create a new column. We can call this personalized line if we wanted to. And then we can choose what LLM we want. In this case, I'm just going to use Anthropic. And then we can generate a test output to make sure that this is actually legit. If we approve this, if we look at the client's website and just fact check it, perfect. Then all we need to do is click generate. We can do this for the 25 leads that we have that we can then enrich. And we can see that they have a carry-on closet on their website. So we know that this personalized line is going to be legit, and I can simply just be confident knowing that this personalized line that I'm going to send to them is in fact going to be fire. Next thing that we can do is we can have it write a full email. So if I go to use AI again, I'm going to use this prompt. So kind of similar, but a little bit different. You're acting as my cold email assistant for outreach. My offer is this. And then I can select Anthropic, and I can generate a test output. So now I can just say, this is my email. And then I can do the same thing. So now we have 3 options. Use AI to write my whole email. I could write a personalized line, or I could write an email using the prompt that you saw me do. To be even more lazy, what we can also do is we can click add a column, use AI, and there's a ton of different templates inside of here that you can simply use. So now let's talk about the next step after we create the copy. Well, sending emails. Again, inside of one tool, we have a one-stop shop for campaign creation. So we don't need to copy and paste these emails. We don't need to do a mail merge. We don't need to do anything crazy. We already have the emails inside of the tool. What we'll be able to do is we'll be able to go to campaigns. We can create a new campaign. I can just call this e-commerce campaign. Click on continue. In options, I can select the email accounts that I just loaded inside of here. And then using these email accounts, those are the emails that we're going to be actually sending from. So now all I need to do is I just need to go back to my lead list. I can select all of the leads. I can click move to campaign, and I can select the campaign that I want to add them to. And then we can see they're being added. And once I go back to my campaigns, I can see that all of the leads that I just selected are now being added with the personalized lines and with the AI written emails directly inside of the campaign that I can begin to send from. So all I need to do is I can just create the campaign directly inside of here. So if I wanted a subject line, I could say hi, and I could even pick the personalization of their first name. And then if I wanted to, I could pick the email if I wanted to, or I could just find personalized line. And if I wanted to write the email, I could also select variables of the email that I wrote for them using AI, or I can find personalized line that I use. And if I click on preview, I'll be able to select a lead and I can see the personalized line that is written for each specific lead. So I can have confidence knowing that this personalized line is actually legit. So then what I could do is I could just write my email using the variables, my first name, and then I could end with, we help companies like yours increase site speed, and had some ideas on what you could do on your end. I could shoot over a quick Loom video. Thoughts? Cheers, Austin. So directly inside of Instantly, I can now write the first email with the personalized line. I can click on preview and I can see what I'm going to be sending to each person and see every personalized line is in fact different. So that's how we simply just create the campaigns inside of Instantly, which again is super, super lazy. Let's talk about follow-ups. How do we automate follow-ups? Well, we can automate them directly inside of Instantly. If I go back to the campaign, I can click on add steps and I can change how many days after the first email I want to send a follow-up email. And I can do that as many times as I want to. I recommend about 2 to 3 follow-ups, but now if somebody doesn't respond, then they're going to get a follow-up email. Next is going to be replies. We can actually automate the replies using a reply agent. So if I go back to my campaigns, inside of my campaigns, if I go to options, if I go to advanced options, if I scroll down, if I go to tags, I can just give this campaign a tag of e-commerce. And then what I can do is on the left-hand side, you'll see something called AI agents. So what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to simply just click add new, and then I can simply call this e-commerce reply agent. And then once I click on continue, I can have a AI reply agent and I can just fully automate this. No follow-ups. Yes. Yep. Then I can click on continue. I can select the e-commerce campaign that I just created. I click on continue and I can now train it on my tone of voice. So now what I can do is I can just edit this direct, simple, friendly. That sounds good. Add anything that would be relevant from like a communication style perspective. Then what I can do is I can click on context and clarifications. So now what I can do is I can start to train it on what to say when they say something. So if they respond positively, say that jump on a call to get more info on your current setup so my audit is on point. If they respond negatively, say thanks for letting you know, and they'll be removed from the list. Okay, so in this case, what we're trying to do is we're going to lead with an audit, and if they say, yes, I want that audit, then we're going to suggest getting on a call so that you can get more information about their business on their current setup so that the audit is actually on point. Then suggest 3 days and times that could work for the audit, and we'll send a calendar invite. Something like that. This is just a test. This is just an example. Obviously, we want to train it. Other guidance, so we can, again, train it on what's actually relevant for that specific tag, hand over an escalation. If someone says, can we just book a call tomorrow? What do they say? All that sort of stuff. Okay, we want to take our time with this. But to me, we're setting up the reply agent so that we don't need to reply to emails anymore, and we can actually sit back and have the reply agent handle everything for me. And if you are skeptical about it, what you can do is you can basically select the agent type of human in the loop. So what that will do is inside of your Unibox, it'll give a suggestion on what to actually say, and then you just can click on send reply. If you don't, then it'll automatically send the replies, but maybe start with human in the loop, and then you can just press one button, which again, still pretty freaking lazy. All right, let's talk about inbox management. So inside of Instantly, again, the same tool, they have what's called a Unibox, which is freaking amazing. So as you can see here, all the responses go to one singular inbox, which is called the Unibox. And what's cool is I can filter by statuses. So if people are interested, I can see everybody that's interested. I can see all the meetings that I've booked, et cetera, all in one tool. I can even see it by campaigns if I wanted to see all the replies from the e-commerce campaign. Tracking conversions. Austin, how do I actually track this and make sure this is in fact legit? Well, 2 things. There's reporting. So if I go over here to the left-hand side, you'll see what's called analytics. Well, let's scroll down and look at the analytics. So we can see this campaign is getting a 3.1% reply rate with 11 opportunities. This one, 3.2% reply rate with 10 opportunities. All we need to do is look at data to make decisions based off of how we should go going forward. And then that's where we can basically deem adjustments if needed. Now, what's also cool is they have what's called a CRM. So if I go to opportunities, I'll be able to see all of the meetings booked, everybody who did a positive reply, because it's automatically going to be tagged inside of the Unibox, whether they're interested or not interested, whatever it could be. I can see everybody that's interested, all the meetings that I've been able to book, all the meetings that have been completed, every deal that I've won in the last however time frame that you want to put it, and so much more. So it makes it really, really easy for us to see the performance of our campaigns and actually track the leads. All right, next steps in strategy. On the left-hand side, we have what's called Instantly Copilot. And this is basically like ChatGPT trained on cold email as a cold email expert. Okay. And it's, again, directly inside of Instantly. So you don't need to use different tools, subscribe to different tools. You can literally just use it directly inside of here. What I could do is I could say, analyze my campaign, or I could even just say, get advice, give me best practices for my outbound strategy. It'll audit all of our campaigns and provide suggestions. Here's best practices from my strategy with some additional resources. Can you audit my workspace and provide suggestions to book more meetings? And it's going to begin. As we can see, in a matter of minutes, it provided a full analyzation and priority level of what I should be doing to increase the amount of meetings that I get. Okay, Austin, how do I scale this? How do I actually make this legit? I literally just gave you a full standard operating procedure of how to actually do this without yourself being included. Well, now what you can do is you can train people on the exact setup, the exact step-by-step process that I used in order to implement them for you. This is meant to be a lazy way to do outreach, which can then be trained to somebody else to follow the same methodologies that you do so that you can scale this beyond your own efforts. All right, so the purpose of this video is to show you from my experience what the laziest way to get clients is this year. And at the start of the video, I mentioned that this is one of the systems that I use to generate multiple seven figures inside of my business. But if you've never seen someone do this live, you might still be a little bit skeptical. So click on the video on the screen to watch the next video where I use the exact same method live to send real cold emails and book sales calls so that you can literally just follow what works and see it happen live. So enjoy it, and we'll see you over there.